In this video, I'm gonna explain the whole system that I just showed you and how to do it. It's really easy, and you might want to get a pen and paper because you're gonna want to write some stuff down with these relays and stuff. So let's get into it. All right, here's the system I used. You can search this on Amazon, $49, and it arrives in one day. So I have the instructions here, and I'm kind of gonna go through every plug-in on the harnesses that you need to use and that you don't need to use for what I just showed you. So here it is. Start a relay, you don't need that. And then, okay, you need, number one, this is for your down relay on the back window. Red is your constant. I used a 14 gauge wire from the battery. Brown is your siren. You don't need that unless you're putting sensors in the windows and stuff. Yellow is your ignition input. You don't need that. Chassis ground, of course, you're going to need that. Door trigger input, don't need it unless you want to unlock it and your dome lights and stuff turn on. You don't really need that. Black and white, dome light, same thing, don't need it. White and blue, you're going to need this one for your up channel on the relay. So when you press lock and unlock at the same time, your back window is going to go up on the Jimmy or the Blazer. White selectable parking light. You don't need this, but I did it. So when you lock and unlock it, your parking lights flash on all four sides. Same thing when you have the siren on, which I showed you. Orange, this is for the siren when you have it armed. So if you're doing orange, you need to also have your starter code relay set up. And then here's your door lock, 3-pin connector. You need both of these. One's for lock and one's for unlock. And your horn, this is just one wire. So I did that. You're going to want to do it after your horn switch. So let's get into it. I'm going to show you how to do it in a couple minutes. It's not that hard. All right, so I kind of made a little diagram here on exactly where you're going to need to be with this whole system. So your A-Vital system, I put it right here. So take your glove box off, and it's going to be right behind there. And if everything fits in fine, and a lot of people aren't going to want to do this, but I use self-tapping screws to just screw up into the firewall because there's nothing behind that. It's just dead space. So I did that, no issues. And then you're just going to need 4 5-pin relays. Everybody has relays lying around. So yeah, okay, let me explain this. This is your window switch right here. Okay, you have 3 wires on the back end of the switch. If you go in through your dash right here, there's a screw and you can pop this switch out. So on that switch, there's a blue, a red, and a tan wire. Leave your red alone. That's your ignition power to the switch. You don't need that. So you want to tap in to your blue. I believe blue is for down, but you can always switch your wires when you're done with that. So blue, you're going to tap in and you're going to bring that over to a relay. Tan, you're going to tap in and bring that over to your relay. And then for your doors, I'll get into the relay wiring in a minute. For your doors, you have gray and you have tan with a gray stripe on both sides. On this side, you're going to cut both of those wires. Okay? After you cut them, you need both sides because the door end of the wires, you're going to wire into your relay, and then the other end of the wires, you're also going to wire into your relay in a different pin because those two are coming from your driver door. Your driver door, same thing, you're going to cut your wires. You're going to leave the truck end of those wires cut. You're never going to touch them again. And you're going to connect a tap into the door side of the wires, the gray and the tan, and bring those two over here. So I have one 14 gauge power wire going through the dash underneath all the way through here. And then you have 2 more wires from this door all the way over to the same relays that tie into this door. All right, I'm going to explain the relays in a second here. Okay, I just mapped out the relay wiring that you got to do. So here's your window relay. So there's going to be 2 of these, and it's the same thing. You're just going to want to have one for your channel 2, one for your channel 3. So one of them is that side button, and then the other one's the lock and unlock to make it go down or up. So simple, these two, same exact wire, 12 volt constant, that 14 gauge, you're gonna tap in all sorts of that wire for every relay. 87 is gonna be blue or tan. Remember, it's not that middle wire. It's not, let me get my other paper. It's not this middle. You don't want to touch this red. Be sure you don't do that. So yeah, you're just tapping into blue, anywhere in this blue wire, doesn't matter where, or the tan. So yeah, bring that wire over to your dash or the glove box or wherever you want to do it. And here it is. Take a screenshot, pause it, whatever. All right, so that's your window up and down. Here's the locks and unlocks. So 85 is going to be your tiny little 22 gauge wire from the A-Vital system. So it's going to either be blue or green, both of them. You're going to use both for both relays. So blue on one relay, blue on the other. 86 and 87 is both 12 volt constant. Remember, use the same wire. Just make sure it's plugged in both areas. And then pin 30, this is important, I started it, is going to be your lock wire. I think it's gray. It might be the brown one or the tan. So you're going to have the gray, remember, and then the tan with the gray stripe. So these two is where you're going to mess up on 87A and 30. So this is the hardest part here. So pin 30, this is your relay where the driver door, you're going to cut that wire, and then the one that goes into the door, you're going to lengthen that wire and you're going to bring it to your passenger door if you do it like I did it. And then when you cut that, leave the other two ends of it off. If you leave that wire connected and you just tap in, if you just tap into that wire, you're going to blow fuses because there's electricity being backfed. And one of those wires is always going to be a ground, no matter if you unlock or lock it. So cut that wire, bring this end of the brown and the gray over to this, and you're going to tie that into pin 30. So the gray on driver door and the gray on your passenger door is going to go into pin 30, and then vice versa for your unlock wire. I think it's brown with the gray stripe. You're going to put that into your other relay. Just make sure you cut that wire, leave the other two ends blank. 87 12 volt, these are the same wire. And then 87A, this is going to be the other wire, your lock wire from the switch. So on this, it's a little bit, on the passenger door, it's different. So you're gonna use both. So when you cut your brown with the gray stripe and the gray wire, you're using these ends and these ends, okay? So these ends is gonna go to pin 30. These ends are gonna go, one's gonna go to 87A, and then the other is gonna go to 87A on your other relay. So that's it. That's all you gotta do, and I'll show you again. Your locks, they still work on the buttons on both sides. And it works great. And you can see it's trying to do, when you unlock it, the horn chirps. But the air horns, they don't beep long enough. Here, let me show you for it to make sound. So under the hood, very simply, I just took a power wire and I brought it over here. So this is a little fuse block. It's like $15. So I have some relays for the horns. It's all nice and tidy, and then that goes into there. It's fused. So then here's my wire. It's just a 14 gauge wire for the whole system, for the back window and for the locks. It's the same thing. It's just one wire is all you need. And then this is grounded somewhere else. So that's pretty much it. It took me about, I want to say 8 hours because I was still learning in the process. But if I had to do it again, and if I had these instructions, it should only take a few hours. I mean, you're taking off your glove box and you're cutting some wires. You probably need about 30 feet of 14 gauge wire. Colors don't matter. And then that's it. You just gotta tie in. Get a soldering iron. I don't recommend T-taps because they drop voltage. But you can use the T-taps if you want, but I don't think they're gonna last the years that you're gonna want them to last. Oh, triaxisprinting.com. If you want custom coin holders, here's more custom stuff. I do all 3D printing, so if you want any plastic parts made, I made these tweeter mounts. It goes into the kick panel screws. I made this touchscreen mount. I do all 3D printing, so if you need any parts made, yeah. triaxisprinting.com, you can find a contact. One more thing I forgot to explain is the parking light. I can unlock, the parking lights flash. So to do that, this is probably the easiest part of the entire install. All you want to do is take your gauge cluster off. Take this little, actually no, you don't even have to do that. Take your, let me get over there. This is so easy. Take this vent off. Oh, you do have to take your gauge cluster. So take this vent off and let that kind of float in there, down there. And there's a tap. It's a brown wire, and it already has a plug from the factory at GM. I think that's for wiring up a trailer harness. But if you don't tow with your Blazer, that tap should be empty. You're just going to want to put a wire into that, and then you just bring it over with these same 2 wires that you cut. Remember, you're cutting them right here at the kick panel. You don't need to go into your door. You don't need to go into the door panel at all. You're cutting it at the kick panel, and then you just leave the other 2 blank. Bring your tan and brown over. Same thing for this. You just get one of those 1/4-inch plugs, plug it in straight into that accessory wire for your parking lights. Super simple. And then for the horns, I need to make a better button for this, but you're gonna want to wire the horn button on the okay, so this button is a positive switch. If you have a negative switch, it's different, but since I have positive going into this red, then this is back feeding into the relay. So wherever your relay for your horn is, that's where you're going to tap into the wire for the horn. So when you press your alarm, the horn beeps. It's that simple.